back with another episode of the New Line podcast. Today we have Mr. Ed Soares. He is the CEO of LFA, Legacy Fighting Alliance, and they have an event coming up this Friday in Louisville, Kentucky. LFA 235, Stewart versus Havener. Ed is live today from the Henrietta in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, you got a big fight coming up this weekend. I saw you lost your main event, and then you the Stewart and Havener were bumped up to the main event, and you got your co-main event. Was it David?
It's Jake Woodley versus David Wright. That's a very exciting, very exciting fight because you got a guy like Jake Woodley who's an All-American Division I wrestler, and he's taking on a guy by the name of David Wright, who is actually a protege of a fighter named Rafael Lovato out of Oklahoma. Rafael Lovato was he retired as an MMA fighter, undefeated. He was the Bellator middleweight champion. He's extremely accomplished in jiu-jitsu. He's been a world champion in various times in jiu-jitsu. So it's going to be a really interesting fight because David has some hands. Jake doesn't have the hands that David has, but he's got, he's got world-class wrestling. But the thing is it's kind of like jumping, out of the pan and into the fire, because if you're going to take David Wright down and take him to the ground, and you've got David Wright's head coach being Rafael Lovato, it's going to be dangerous. So I think that's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, it looks like, with your current champion having the UFC Contender Series fight, the Dana White Contender Series fight coming up. These two middleweight bouts could be setting up a potential title fight.
100%. It's almost like a little mini tournament.
Yeah,
you've got 4 middleweights, and it's almost like the semifinal of the middleweight tournament.
Yeah, it's exciting, man, and bringing these two pretty much semifinal fights to Louisville, Kentucky. That's a big deal for MMA in Kentucky. And I was looking at your champ, so Joseph Cropshot. I don't think you're saying that wrong.
Cropshot, yeah.
So he is fighting the NLC champion at the Contender Series. Yeah,
in Contenders, awesome.
I just realized that just now. So it's my champ against your champ.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool, man. Two high level guys there. So 8 and let's see, he is 8-3, and then John is 10-0 right now. So yeah, that's a big fight for Contender Series, and that's a tough fight
your
for both guys.
10-0?
Yeah, 10-0. Yeah, wow. That's a big fight.
Yeah, it is.
So,
and what's his name?
John Kuhneman out of Denver, Colorado.
Okay, and has he fought all his fights for you?
No, he's fought twice. He fought here. He fought the second time he fought, I believe, was for the title. But yeah, he fought here twice. We were trying to get him back down, but then he had a Contender Series fight coming up. He ended up getting injured and didn't get to compete. So yeah. So let's see here. So yeah, LFA 235. I see a lot of familiar faces on this one. There's a few people that I know. This is one, Todd Pickett. He's never fought for me. I see he's the number 1 ranked welterweight amateur in the nation, and he's on the card. That's a big deal. Eric Moore, he fought for me last year. Had a big head kick knockout really early in the first round. Brutal kick. David Richardson's on the card. He fought. He's grappled here. He hasn't done a fight. And he's up against Trayvon Eller. And Trayvon Eller is a guy that he's really impressed me ever since I've seen him.
Who's against Trayvon Eller?
Yeah,
Eric Moore?
Trayvon is up against David Richardson, I believe.
Yeah.
Eller.
No, actually, David Richardson, there's a new opponent. It's Jimmy Pace Jr. is now facing David Richardson.
Okay. Is Eller still on the card?
I think he pulled out.
Okay.
Yeah, he pulled out. I think he might have had an injury.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Eller's the real deal, man. I could see that guy going fighting for you guys and then moving on up. He is the real deal. So yeah, it looked like a solid card, man, top to bottom. A lot of good fights, a lot of good in-state fighters. So Kentucky doesn't get a lot of national recognition, but the fight scene is really, really good, especially there in Louisville. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's a fight town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the history of the legend that has came from here.
Yeah. So So yeah, I believe the first time I saw you, I believe was probably translating at a UFC event.
Probably for Anderson Silva. Yeah. I was actually managing it. I managed him. At being a translator was kind of something that just kind of happened on the fly.
Yeah,
It wasn't that I was a translator by no means. I spoke both languages
yeah, you
fluently.
were
So
there.
I ended up doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, you managed a lot of the guys. So when I was growing up as a fan, I more so followed Pride than I did UFC at one point.
Right.
And a lot of the great Brazilian fighters, you were affiliated with them, and managing the guys. And I forget the name of your management company, but then you had the
Tough
gym,
Media.
was it Black House
It was
MMA?
Black House was the gym
Yeah,
and Tough Media was the management
yeah, Tough
company. Yeah.
Media. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you guys had before the Ultimate Fighter really blew up. You had a TV show, I believe, based.
Yeah. It was called the Passing the Guard.
Yeah, so based in Brazil, then you brought it to the United States. So what was
That's
that like?
exactly right.
Because at the time you had like MMA wasn't mainstream. I mean, you weren't seeing it on ESPN, you weren't seeing it on anything like that. It was really like you could read stuff online.
To be honest with you, we were the first ones to put the UFC on free television
Wow. Okay.
because we were on a network called KDOC in Southern California, which covered all of Orange County, all of LA County, the northern tip of San Diego County, and the southern tip of Ventura County. So at that time, it hit about 5.5 million homes, and that's how it all started off. And that's how I started building a relationship with the UFC, is because we were doing the show and we ended up getting ratings, and I started talking to Dana, and Dana loved what we were doing. He started buying commercials on our show, and then the rest is kind of history.
That's incredible. I believe the first MMA show that I saw was probably Inside May. God, what was
Yeah,
that? HD Net,
that
I
was on
believe.
Access TV.
Yeah, yeah.
HD Net. It was an HD Net. Yeah.
So what do you think Kentucky brings to the table for the fight market? That some people outside of this region may not understand here.
Well, I just think, in this region of the United States, you've got a lot of, blue collar, hardworking, people. And I think when you bring those ingredients into a fighter, I think those are very important ingredients to have in a fighter, someone that's blue collar, hardworking, that sort of attitude. I think Kentucky and I think Louisville itself, logistically where it sits, it's in a really good position to be able to connect with multiple cities and multiple regions in the area that are drivable. So it's just a really great market. I mean, like I said, this will be our third show here this Friday, and man, I look forward to keep coming back.
Yeah, I came out to the show last year, and it felt like I was at a UFC event. It really had that vibe. And you guys do a really good show. 'Cause I pride myself on what I do, and then I went to that one. I was like, yeah, this is a whole other level.
Hey, well, I appreciate you saying that, man. But yeah, we do it like you said. We're doing it 25 times a year all over the world. Currently, we're doing 6 shows in Brazil, and then 19 shows a year from LA to New York and everywhere in between.
Yeah, I see you guys are all over the place. So
Yeah.
let's see. Tell me about. So you got you guys are on Vice TV. So where all can people access Vice TV to be able to watch the fights this Friday if they can't make it in person?
Well, yeah, they should have Vice TV on any, like on your cable network. It's a linear channel. So, we're in 45 million homes here in the US. Now, we're also on ESPN Deportes in the Spanish broadcast. So if you happen to have Deportes in your, as a channel package that you have, you could watch our show live on Deportes, but obviously it's going to be in Spanish instead of English. But in the U.S., those are the places to be able to watch it. You could watch the prelims on Spectation Sports, and then as far as where we are worldwide, we're on ESPN in Latin America, so that would include Mexico, all of Central America, all of South America, including Brazil, and also all the Caribbean. And then we're on ESPN Deportes here in the U.S. in Spanish.
That's a lot of eyeballs on your product right there.
Yeah, we're in we're in a little bit over 150 million households is the potential.
That's big time, man.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here for a second. Say thanks, Heath, for taking this time, but don't sleep on the weigh-ins. We're doing a ceremonial weigh-in Thursday at 6:30 is broadcast, something like that. But where can they see the weigh-ins? YouTube?
I don't know if it's going to be streamed live. I don't think it's going to be streamed.
If it's not, Sorry, but if it is, check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change the subject here before we jump off. So you've seen a lot of fighters come and go. You've seen some of the greats. You've seen some very talented people. So what are some signs that you see that tell you that somebody is ready for that next level?
I think there's so many different elements that go along with it, but I think the willingness to work hard and stay focused. I mean, I think that's it. And you know, there's a few things that there's certain things that you can have a greatest trainer in the world and you can have that, but I think what's really important is some of the things you can't teach. And what you can't teach is heart. If someone has heart or not, like you can have an extremely talented athlete, you can have an extremely, athletic athlete. And what ends up happening is if he doesn't have the heart and the will, he could be just a really talented fighter with no heart. And as you know, it's really easy to be a talented fighter when you're beating people up. And, when you're being the hammer, it's one thing, but when you're the nail, that's where it kind of separates the men from the boys, because that's where you really, the determination, the drive to want and to be coachable, like anything, that I think those are important.
A good example of that, I believe, would have been last night, Justin Gaethje. Ilya put it on him early in that fight, but Justin, he just stayed in there, hung in there, and they ended up getting it done. And a lot of people weren't giving him a chance, but he's been in those wars before. He's been through that. And Mitsupori is a real talent, and he's one of the quickest, strongest, most explosive fighters I've ever seen, especially in that division. And for Gaethje to hang in there and just absorb all that punishment all the way to, I believe it was the end of round 2 is when I really started to see that it was starting to turn. But
well, that's what I'm saying. And also you have to understand, Ilya Topuria, this is only his second fight at 155 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's not a huge 155er, and Justin Gaethje is a big 155er. He's had all these different titles. He's had the BMF title, he's had the interim lightweight title, and now he's got the undisputed lightweight championship. So it's pretty cool to see him get all that. I was very happy. I mean, listen, I'm a Topuria fan also, and I actually, I almost feel guilty that I didn't really give Gaethje a chance either. Not that I didn't give him a chance. I knew anything is possible, but I really believed strongly that Ilya was going to do what he did, especially with his performance that he had against Charles Oliveira. I was thinking to myself, wow, it's going to be a tough one. But I also knew that, he hits you, you're going to feel it. He's got heavy hands and he's durable and he's got extremely good wrestling. And it kind of worked out in his favor. But I think the night in itself was awesome to see an American win the lightweight title as an underdog in the front lawn of the White House.
Yeah. And it was tough. One thing, I'm a big Pereira fan, so that was tough to see. Cyril Gahn, man, he's a dangerous guy. But I'm sure Pereira's gonna be back. That was tough.
I'm sure he's going to be back too. But what people need to understand is when you're talking about 7 to 8 months ago, he weighed in and got his title back at 205 pounds. And then he weighed in at 251. That's 46 pounds of weight that you put on yourself. Like, I mean, I don't know, but to put 46 pounds of weight on you, and then, how that's going to affect your speed.
Absolutely.
How an effect, and I do feel that his speed was affected. And the other thing you have to think about too is that Pereira is an extremely he has heavy hands, but he also has always been the big guy put on the hands. So when you turn around and you think, okay, now he was knocking out middleweights and knocking out light heavyweights. Not that he couldn't knock out a heavyweight. He easily could, especially at that, at that size of a person punching you, you're going to feel it. But the thing is that, Pereira is one of those guys who will take a punch to give a punch. And when you're taking a punch from a 185 or 205er, it doesn't have the same, it's not the same from taking a punch from a heavyweight. And I think when you put everything into combination, that he gained 46 pounds in about 7 to 8 months. And then, he was much slower. He tends to be the quicker fighter and the bigger fighter. So it was just, it's kind of like everything aligned for Gane. And Gane is not your typical heavyweight. He's a natural 250-pound heavyweight who moves like a middleweight or a light heavyweight. He moves very light on his feet. He's got very good movement. He's very good. And he's a southpaw. So everything was kind of stacked up in a sense against him, even though going into the fight, I had Pereira as a favorite. I had a Pereira as a favorite, but what happened didn't surprise me because I told people that this could be the way that Pereira gets beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it ended up happening that way.
Yeah, at heavyweight, everybody's got a puncher's chance, especially Cyril Gane, who's one of the most dangerous strikers. So I would say of everybody on the UFC roster currently, that's probably the worst matchup you could have given Alex for his first fight at heavyweight. But I'm sure every fight we see him,
or that, or a wrestler,
yeah,
right?
And he did incredible against the last wrestler he fought, Ankalaev at 205.
Ankalaev.
Yeah, Ankalaev. Yeah, so yeah, Pereira, man, he's, for a guy that was just kickboxing not that long ago, he's came a long way.
But just to let you know, Ankalaev isn't a real wrestler. People affiliate him with wrestling because he's from Dagestan and they have a strong wrestling background. But Ankalaev is really known as a striker. He's really a striker with a strong wrestling background. So when you're facing a guy like Ankalaev, he's extremely dangerous because he's got the wrestling pedigree, but he comes from striking.
The fight world right now is so deep, man. There's so many. I mean, there's 15, 20 guys deep every weight class, top of the world. And it's a good time to be a fight fan. It's a good time to be just in the business.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be a fight fan. And I still believe the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
I think what you're seeing for the transition is guys before were tough fighters. They were fighters and they were learning to become athletes. Now what's happening is you're getting athletes and people are teaching these athletes how to fight. So it's a totally different dimension. You know what I'm saying? The only question that you have is, back in the day, if you were a fighter, you instantly had heart. A lot of times these athletes, they might be an incredible athlete, but they don't have the heart. They get punched in the face and they're like, I don't like this. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth. But that's the difference, is a lot of times you can have an incredible athlete, but he's not tested. And until you get put through that test, that's when you're going to see if he's got heart or not.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Well, Ed, I believe that's all I've got today. We had a real short time window here. I appreciate you coming on. So one last time, let's let everybody know how they can see the fights, where they can see the fights this Friday, and the weigh-ins on Thursday.
Yeah. So weigh-ins on Thursday. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn Crown Plaza at near the airport, and you can watch LFA on the prelims or on Spectation Sports. The main card is on Vice in the U.S. and also on ESPN Deportes in the Spanish broadcast.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. And
there's still tickets left. So Freedom Hall Friday night, tickets available on Ticketmaster. All right.
It's going to be an incredible night. I went to an LFA last year. So if you guys are around Louisville this week, or if you're willing to make that trip, big time event this weekend, big fights, the LFA is literally the future of combat sports. These guys are going to be the top of the world soon. These are the guys on their way up. So you don't want to miss this. Catch it online if you can't make it. But they always put on a good show. Some of the best fighters in the world. So Ed, thanks for coming on. And Eddie, thanks for setting this up. And everybody, thanks for watching. All right.